right now. Okay. We should be good to go. Audio seems good. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Chicago Conservative live stream edition. And today we have a very, 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 very special guest today. We got Miss Jessica Jackson, and she is a legend at City Hall, guys. Let me tell you, because she be cooking that mic. She has been on multiple platforms. She has been, trending all over the internet. She's made channels like Brandon Tatum and things of the sort. So, guys, we dealing with a real legend here at City Hall today. And today, guys, there was an incident at City Hall, Miss Jessica, and we're going to get into the details later, but it resulted in her getting banned for 60 days from City Hall. Now, before we hear from the horse's mouth, I just want to give my opinion on that for a second, because everybody know, I also speak at City Hall and things of such. I have the inner scoop and things of such. And I truly do believe that they are trying to silence us at City Hall, ladies and gentlemen. They know these clips go viral. They know that it gets so much attention that even the president of the United States, guys, is watching and listening. So Miss Jessica, Chicago Flips Red, me, Mr. Dennis, all of us, guys, we contributed to this, right? So Brandon Johnson, now he's feeling like, okay, these people are a threat now. And I believe Danny even brought this up at a City Hall council meeting. She said, yeah, you was laughing at first, but now it's not funny no more. But that's true, though. It's funny, but it's true, because he did think that it was a joke. He did think that people were just coming up there, just to, get a viral moment or something. And like, no, nigga, like, that's not what this is. Excuse my language. You know how my show is, Miss Jessica. So, I'm going to kind of curse and stuff like that. I'm going to try to be respectful for you, though. But, for you, Miss Jessica, for you. But we all know that this guy is very unhinged, and we know the reason that Trump isn't giving us the federal funding, and I believe that's around $2 billion, is because he knows that it's going to go to illegal migrants. I know that, you know that, everybody knows that. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. So before we start this video, we just gonna get to know Miss Jessica a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Miss Jessica, because I think this is your first time on the show, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Just tell people a little bit about yourself, your experience of you speaking out at City Hall, what, gave you the courage to, you build up that courage and give Brandon Johnson a new a-hole.
Well, I don't know about that. But first of all, Bashan, thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a perfect example of moving past the unimportant things and having your eye on what's important and moving towards a common goal. So absolutely. I want to thank you. Yeah, I want to thank you, and I want to thank us from being able to do that. And so, with that being said, now, a lot of people know how I ended up at City Hall, which is about dealing with my mother's probate estate. And so when you say what keeps me going, where did the bravery, or whichever word you want to use, come from? It came from me fighting for my mother's estate.
Right.
Yeah, real estate is a very important thing.
And especially in today's economy, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And when you look at Black people as a whole, real estate is the only thing that we have now. A lot of our Black businesses and things, we don't have them anymore. We don't have Black grocery stores anymore, Black banks, Black movie theaters, all the things that we had when I was growing up. Right. We don't have those things anymore. The only thing we have left is our real estate. So I was fighting for my mother's real estate, and I'm still fighting for my mother's real estate. And part of even what happened with me getting barred, as we continue this conversation, you'll see how that me fighting for this case is even intertwined in that, because a lot of it is retaliation.
Right.
You know, they're upset that I'm fighting for this case. They're upset that I'm exposing crooked judges. But most recently, they're upset because me, Danny, Zoe start talking about that budget.
Right.
That budget, and the fact that they're not talking about the money that's in there for illegals. They're not talking about the fact that they gave themselves raises. They're not talking about the fact that all that money towards illegal immigration is what caused our property taxes to go up on the south side and the west side. They're staying clear away from that, and they misrepresented this issue of the budget to be about that corporate head tax. When that corporate head tax was only, what, 1.6% of their budget? But that's how they misrepresented it to the public. So now we were in there saying, no, look at this illegal money. Where's this illegal money?
Right.
We were saying, look at how much money that they paid towards these illegals that's affecting our property taxes. And after sending this city to a deficit, and even a bigger deficit.
Over 600 million. And now we're in a $1.2 billion deficit now.
Deficit, they got raises.
So can I just comment on that? You said a lot, and I'll agree with everything that you just said, but I just want to give some more context to what you said, because there are a lot of people out there that think, and this is what I was going to speak on at City Hall if I got chosen today. If you guys don't mind, I just wanted to bring up Melissa Hortman in Minnesota. Now, she was the only Democrat that voted against illegal funding for illegal migrants, right? And they killed her for it. And the guy that killed her was appointed by Tim Walz, right? So a lot of people are saying, oh, illegal migrants don't get funding and things of such. But yes, they are. And even Democrats are voting against it, and they're getting killed for it. It happened in Minnesota. So you think it can't happen in Chicago? You think illegal migrants aren't getting free funding in Chicago? That is one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard. And now, like you just said, we're in a $1.2 billion deficit, probably 1.2 to 1.5, excuse me. And like you said, property taxes, they won't raise property taxes, crime is down, and all this other garbage, right? But here's the thing. I say this all the time. I just spoke to my friend not too long ago. His property taxes went up 16%. And his property tax is already $10,000. So now, on top of a 16% property tax increase, now he got to pay an extra $1,000, you feel me? So $1,600. So now he got to pay $1,100, just because you want to fund illegal migrants, and that's just one guy. Now, if you times however the population is in Chicago, which is millions, you're gonna see a pretty penny out of that.
Well, it goes without saying. And seeing that's another reason why they didn't want me to keep speaking. Because, Bashan, I got a property tax bill because I own property.
Right.
And you see what I'm saying? And my property tax bill went up $1,811.61.
I got you on a solo so people can see.
You see, right here. It went up $1,811.61. That's not what my tax is. That's what it went up to. That's what it was increased on this bill. So, in addition
so I mean, I'm not trying to put you on blast on how much you pay on property tax. I'm just trying to ask on percentage. Do you pay 18% more on property taxes? I'm assuming. Is it like here or there?
Let me see. Well, it's been constantly going up. I came here in 2019, and it's constantly going up. So it's hard to say 10%, 8%, 12%. It's constantly going up. It's just like the property tax increases that they showed on TV. The one for West Garfield, that was what, 133% increase. Then Lawndale was 93%, 96%, something like that. And then Inglewood was 80-some%.
I saw that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Those were the three that they put on the map to show the public on television, right?
That was more of a state thing too, right? That was a state thing too.
No, listen.
Oh, that was
City council. City council votes on property taxes.
Oh yeah,
City council votes on property taxes. And you hear them in there talking about sales taxes or whatever. But as it pertains to property taxes, we sit in those meetings, Bashan, like you said, they had a discussion of property taxes. That comes from Mayor Johnson. Then, of course, now when we get ready to go pay them, we pay them what? To Cook County. Right. To Maria Pappas, Cook County. That's who we pay them to, but City Hall makes the increase. And then, of course, it's legislated in Illinois, in the state, on the state level, correct? So so they try to do this the same way they try to do everything else. When you question them about something, they play that jurisdiction ball. It's the county, it's the city, it's the state. It's the city, it's the county, it's the state. When the reality is all of them work together collectively. And your tax bill is evidence of that. We hear the argument in City Hall from Brandon Johnson talking about property tax increases, if he's going to increase them, if he's not. You heard the mayors run on that as their platform, not the Cook County officials. The mayors ran on not increasing property taxes as in the mayoral debate.
That's what
you understand what I'm saying? Right. So that's how you know that that comes from the city. Now, when you get ready to pay, you get your envelope and it's from the county. And so you go and you pay this to the county. But legislation for it happens where? In Springfield.
There you go. Yeah.
So it's all three of them. But the political maze that they have us caught up in as citizens is it's the city, it's the county, it's the council, the city. The same type of litigation maze that they have us in when we take things to court. Yep. It's the city. No, that's the county. That's the county. It's the city. It's the, because it's all corrupt.
One big cahoots. Yep.
And they all in cahoots. They all in cahoots. And so that's what made me start going down to City Hall. So now when this got the way that it got, especially with these property taxes, and I started talking about the property taxes, they really don't want me at the mic with that. And then Danny was saying we should boycott property taxes until they do something about this. They don't want that to be continuously said from their mic.
Right.
You see, because people are, like you said, they are paying attention to us. They're paying attention to Chicago.
They definitely are. They definitely are. Because, I mean, people love Chicago, and Brandon Johnson is absolutely ruining it with his, honestly, with his idiocy and his racism. So, my thing is this: if you're going to fix a city like Chicago, you have to be tough on crime, and you have to cut the people a break. That's all they're asking for. We're not asking for a utopia. You know, we're just asking for a livable wage, and we're asking just to feel safe in our own communities and not get our benefits, you know, given to illegal migrants that don't even belong. I'm sorry. I need to say illegal aliens because migrants are documented. So illegal aliens that are coming into our city. So with that being said, guys, let's get into the story here. So me and Miss Jessica and a few other, you know, people who are always critiquing Brandon Johnson, we was at City Hall today. And if you guys want to watch this video yourselves, we know without me pausing and things like that. Well, I'm going to play it uninterrupted. But Miss Jessica had to basically go off because they were violating her First Amendment rights. And I agree 1000% that, you know, this needs to be handled. And I'm not saying on the city's end, but it needs to be justice for Miss Jessica, guys. So we're going to watch this video. And Miss Jessica, if you want me to pause it whenever, or if you want to watch the video again, just let me know, okay? So without further ado, let me put this on full screen. And without further ado, guys, let's get right into it.
I got it. Go up there and record it. Damn, man.
No, I am going to give it to you. All right, Ms. Jackson, this letter serves includes that you are
Really? Damn, they just banned Miss Jessica? They just banned her for 60 days? What did she do?
Let me see the paper.
No, I don't think they do that yet. Damn. So what, she got banned?
I was trying to just read like the first part, the portion of it. Tell her so that way she can,
Why did she get banned though? What did she do?
She didn't do nothing wrong.
She just got it.
She all these.
It was it from last a previous altercation with.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna pause it for a second because I just want to, jump into depth of that because I was genuinely confused, bro. Now I go to ask him, was this something prior to what Miss Jessica did? But I was genuinely confused, like, why the hell, like, can't Miss Jessica speak? Because I even asked the lady, remember, you was right there, Miss Jessica. I'm like, why ain't she giving me a pink slip for you? So, like you said, they was already on some BS when it came to the sergeant at arms and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, once she ain't giving me the pink slip, I knew something was off.
Well, let me give you the backdrop to this, especially since you have this assistant sergeant at arms on the screen, Jarvis, with the glasses, so that the audience will understand exactly why it is that I was given this letter today that banned me.
Mm-hmm.
On December 29th, me, Danny, Zoe, Lynetta, and other people came down to City Hall because it was that city council meeting about the budget. Right. And we came early because what they did that day was they made the budget meeting at 9:30 and they made the city council at 10 o'clock on the same day, remember?
Yeah, Mr. Dennis told me about that.
Yeah. So we got there early enough so that we could public speak at the budget meeting because we already know they always play games with the lottery. So it's very possible that we wouldn't get picked for the lottery to speak at city council. So we made sure we got there in time early for the budget committee meeting so that we would be assured to be able to public speak at the budget committee hearing.
Right.
So we get there and we're downstairs waiting. Jarvis comes downstairs and he tells us that you all are not going to be able to go up to the budget meeting just yet. They're late. They told me that they're starting late, but they didn't tell me why. And so we said, okay. And then he says, so you all going to go ahead and sign up for the lottery, for the city council, lottery like usual. He said, then when you get upstairs to the budget meeting, then you'll go ahead and sign up to public speak, on those little pink papers. You'll sign up to it. That's on that table inside of the chambers. So you'll be able to go ahead and sign up to speak at the budget hearing from upstairs like you all normally do at a committee meeting. Okay. Right. Okay. So from that, they go ahead and they do the lottery. They pull the names. Zoe got picked as one of the speakers out of the lottery. I didn't. Danny didn't. Lynetta did, and 2 of her children did, and other people.
Wait, 2 of her children?
Yeah. She had, because she put their name in the lottery to speak. And so Lynetta got pulled and 2 of her children got pulled. So all 3 of them had cards to public speak. Zoe had a card to public speak. And then there were others that also got cards to public speak.
Mm-hmm.
So they did like they usually do. They went on and took the people who got picked for public speaking. They took them upstairs. like they normally do. If you know the routine. If you
Yeah.
get picked for public speaking, they take you up first. And then for those of us who didn't get chosen to public speak, we come up later. The
Yeah.
Sergeant at Arms Jarvis brings us up later. Okay, so they went on and let the public speakers go up, and then Jarvis tells us to come on. We get up there, we start going towards the table to sign up to public speak for the budget, like how he told us to do. And Jason Irvin, who's the committee chair of
Stand that. Whoa.
Ain't He Horrible? Ain't He Horrible?
I already know where this is going.
He's horrible. You already know where this is going.
Know where this is
Jason
going.
Irvin is the chair of the budget committee.
That's basically Brandon Johnson's lapdog, guys. Basically,
Yes.
Brandon Johnson's lapdog. His basically do it all for him guy.
That is probably the most dangerous man in City Hall, Jason Irvin.
Yeah. They always
if you recall, he's the one that helped Rosa suppress that vote for Sanctuary City.
Of course he did, man.
And so when we get up there, like I said, we would go headed towards the table to sign up, like how Jarvis told us to do. And then Jason Irvin comes and tell him, no, it's not going to be no public speakers. He's already had the public speakers. What?
What do you
we
mean?
was downstairs,
right?
Like he told. That's what happened. And so me and Danny and Lynette are like, what are you talking about? No, we're supposed to sign up here to public speak here. You're not going to violate our rights. We got the right to public speak. Jason Irvin wouldn't budge. And then he got the police and told the police to arrest us if we didn't lead a meeting.
Really? Arrested?
That's what happened. That's what happened. And so for Jarvis to come down there today and give me this letter and to
wait. Arrest? Hold on. Let's backtrack for a second.
Okay.
You said they would arrest you guys if y'all didn't leave? What?
Yeah. Yeah, they had that white officer with the white shirt. They had Lieutenant Parker. They had about 5, 6 other police officers.
Like, yeah, I saw the cops there, but I didn't think they were about to arrest you guys. But I thought they was just telling you guys, like, calm down. Like how they do the normal. Right. What? Like, for what? Like, thanks, Ruth. For what? Why are they
trying
to arrest y'all?
For what?
That don't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then I'm going to tell you what further doesn't make sense. That after that, I came back to City Hall and went to committee meetings. They didn't tell me I couldn't speak at committee meetings. Then, what was that, Tuesday, we went to the PBC meeting, the Public Building Commissioners meeting. And, Brandon Johnson, was in that meeting. It's him and Tony Preckwinkle, but Tony Preckwinkle didn't show up this time. And it was just Brandon Johnson. And, that's a much smaller meeting, the real
the committee meetings.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The PBC meeting on the second floor in the Daily Center, that's the first Tuesday of every month. And that's a small meeting. And that's a meeting where Brandon Johnson and Tony Preckwinkle usually in that meeting. Right. Tony Preckwinkle left him hanging this past Tuesday. So we went in there.
I know he was sweating bullets, boy.
Yeah. We was there, and Afro Elite got up to speak. Do you know Brandon Johnson cut him from speaking?
What?
Yes, and told him that he could only talk about what the agenda was about, and then and Afro Elite saying, "But wait a minute, this is my 2 minutes," because in that meeting you only get 2 minutes. This is my 2 minutes, and he and Brandon Johnson kept talking all through Afro Elite's 2 minutes, cut him off, and then after that, Danny came right after him. And Danny, read him the riot act, saying, I bet you're not going to stop my freedom of speech and blah, blah, blah. And then, I came after her, read him the riot act. So today, This is why they had this today for me and Danny and Lynetta.
Right. That's what I'm
Because
like. He
they
said
didn't
y'all
want
been
us at that
searched.
mic.
Right. That is crazy. We can still finish the video if you want, but yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's
Crazy.
that. You know,
We
that's
gotta
what
get
happens.
arrested
So,
because it's doing too much.
so for me to have Jarvis come to me with this letter to tell me that this is, you know, to inform me that I wouldn't be able to come to City Hall. And if he thought for 1 minute that I'm going to stand there in a public hallway and let him read a letter that's addressed to me.
Right.
This letter is addressed to me. You are not. Number one, the letter is not addressed to you. The letter is addressed to me. You have no right to read anything that's addressed to me. What you have a right to do is to have this in the envelope, like what they gave to you, and you to come downstairs and give it to me. That's what you have a right to do. You don't have a right to read anything that has my name on it. You really don't. And you really don't have the right to sit here in a public hallway and read this in front of people. You've lost your mind, especially when you know that you gave us the direction that day. And you know, when you had the opportunity to tell those police officers, I told them to stay downstairs. And you didn't do that because there's so many people, Rashawn, that the county and the city pays with
so
these
he the one that told you to
stipends.
stay downstairs?
Yes.
Dang.
Oh. The same one that's why I said, give that to me. Give it to me. That's why I responded to him that way. Because you're the one who told us to stay down here that day. And when we were up there in the chambers and all that was happening, he failed on purpose. He did not tell them that he was the one to tell us to stay downstairs.
Yeah, withholding information, that's basically lying, man.
Come on, lying. And you're going to come and bring this to me today and think that you're going to stand here and read something to me when you had an opportunity to clear that up. Right there in that chamber. But you got so many people here, Bashan, so many people here that's getting paid by the city, the county. They connected to this person and that person's cousin, best friend, sister, and all this stuff. So many people here are plugged into jobs instead of getting jobs based on merit. So they got to do everything that these people tell them to do. They can't stand for what's right if their life depended on it, because everybody here is plugged into a job. They're not earning these jobs. They're getting plugged into these jobs. And by them being plugged into these jobs, they sell out everybody. They sit there and go along with this, go along with that, because they don't want to lose their job. There's so many jobs down there that are not union jobs. And those union jobs allow them to really tell you about how they'll take your job. All these people that got these 501c3s and all these nonprofits that's getting paid with these stipends. That's how they keep them with a carrot dangling in front of them, because they'll stop your funding. They'll stop your program. And they literally got people here, just all kind of muzzles on people's mouths. So when you have a person like me who has a legitimate reason, a legitimate cause because of my mother's case, I'm not being paid by anybody. I've already had my career and retired. So I'm not looking for another job. I already got my income coming in because I've worked my whole entire life. So I have pensions, Social Security. I don't need them to give me money. What I need them to do is settle my case. What I need them to do is get out of my mother's estate. What I need them to do is stop trying to steal Black people's property, which is what this is. These property tax increases. They was getting ready to do a clean sweep of South Side and West Side properties. That's what I want your audience to understand, Bashan. And I hope that you put this on Twitter or whatever. I want
Yeah.
your audience to understand that another reason why they came to disbar me is because I started talking about those preachers. Come on.
Oh wow,
Remember
really?
those preachers that went in front of that Trump Tower and was
Yeah.
talking about that Trump had gave himself a tax cut?
Right. Yeah. Basically, just
Okay.
bad mouthing Trump for no reason.
Right. I
Pastors
approach
really
those
stay out of
preachers.
politics. I don't know why they are even political. That's not even a thing that they're supposed to be doing. But I digress.
That's been that way for a long time. See that the preachers influence over
And on the blue side, yeah, in the
their
black
flock.
community, yeah, they go
Well,
to the
that's out of slavery, Bashan. Remember, in slavery, we couldn't, we wasn't allowed to learn how to read, right? So what the master would do is if you was a preacher, preachers were the ones that were allowed to read, to learn how to read. And they were only taught, of course, to read certain parts of scripture that they would be able to convey to the slaves to keep them, docile and oppressed.
Mhm.
That's what that Nat Turner story is behind. You know what I'm saying? So this thing with preachers over black people, that stems from back there. And those was Baptist preachers even back then. So this sick relationship that Baptist, that Baptist preachers have with the
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Democratic Party, that's way from back there. You see what I'm saying? So they do it to this day. We know from being in all those meetings, because not only are we in city council meetings, but we go to Cook County meetings, we go to community development meetings, we go to land bank meetings, we go to PCB meetings, we go to all those meetings. So I know that those preachers are on Cook County boards, and they're appointed by Mayor Johnson to be on some city boards. We know
Uh-huh.
that. That Ackley, remember when they was trying to make him to be the RTD,
Yeah.
to be over the transportation,
That
remember?
right. Yep, and that was a disgrace. That was an epic fail. Epic fail.
It was an epic fail, but remember
Yeah.
that was that one of them West Side preachers, Reverend Ackley, right? Okay, that Reverend Hatchett. I've seen him in those Cook County meetings. That Pastor Michael Eady, the one that they had the pastors had that meeting about the property taxes at his church. He told me he's on the board of CTA.
Really? Wow.
Truly.
Man, that's crazy.
So that's
what I'm
crazy.
saying. Like they know they got that pension money waiting on them. They just gonna keep on taxing us.
They in those big contracts. See, a lot of them be in those big contracts. So they didn't want me to be talking about that because I had already started talking about, well, actually, me, Danny, and Zoe went over to that meeting on the West Side that night with those pastors after we called them in City Hall. Then that night, we went over to their church. And then after that, I went back and I wrote a letter to that pastor, asking him to have a subsequent meeting because those pastors had gone in front of Trump Towers and misrepresented that the property tax situation like that.
Right.
Of course, he didn't want to do that. And of course, they don't want me to keep talking about them preachers from the mic. Didn't you hear Zoe today at the mic talk about how much money Trinity United Church of Christ was getting?
Yep. Yes, I did.
Okay. When we went to Springfield, that Pastor Moss and Acri and them was down there in Springfield, and the Democratic Party was giving them like a special recognition platform. So those preachers are completely tied in to our government here.
And you said it already, nonprofits. That's the key word, nonprofits.
That's the key word. That's the key word. And they've gotten us in this bind like this. It's just another muzzle on our mouths. And so This thing with them trying to say Trump. See, that this thing of them putting everything on Trump, and I know you're gonna work that part of this podcast, part of this conversation. But this lane that they've created to blame everything on Trump.
Right.
Rather than taking accountability for the decisions that they're making here locally. That's messing us up.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, you can't blame Trump for everything, because if anything, he wants to help the city of Chicago, but the people like J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson and the people that are in Cook County, they are refusing help from Donald Trump, especially when it comes to things like ICE. They're fighting ICE agents to keep, them from getting illegal migrants, or illegal aliens, I should say, out of our city. And like I said, guys, they're doing everything they can to try to stop us from speaking at that microphone, guys. So we're going to continue to watch this video because we still got a few more, well, I'll say like a minute and a half left, guys. So let's continue.
With her, it's, from what I was told, it's several things. It's not just like one, right? There's several different dates. And all the dates is listed.
I'm going to take that jacket from you. I gotta take that jacket, man. I gotta have that jacket.
You don't want the jacket?
Yes, I do. That's too cute, man. Yeah. I appreciate that. I gotta have that jacket, man. That's violation.
Just like they stopped Afro Elite from speaking at the PBC. Oh, they know fear. They know what it is. They know what it is. They know what it looked like when you ain't getting paid by nobody. They know what it looked like.
Yeah, man. That lady right there, I specifically asked her through, and I was being nice about it. That's the crazy
No,
part.
it ain't about you being.
Yeah. Now, I just want to speak on that, guys. I ain't going to be too, I ain't going to rant on it, but that lady played in my face, man. And I don't like people when they do that. Like, you sat up there in my face and lied, lady. And you wasted my time. And it's like you making me talk to you for no reason. It's like, okay, if you knew that she had to talk to the sergeant at arms and you just didn't want to give her a card because you had to wait on a higher power or something like that, okay, that's understandable. You ain't got to sit up here and say, oh, well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. I'm not sure. I'm like, what are you? I ain't going to curse because, we got Miss Jessica on here, but it's like, what are you, like 5 years old? You got to do your job here. So I think that lady was definitely playing games, and I think she was fiddling around with the the pink notes that we use to vote when it comes to getting chosen to vote. She's weird, man. Like, she's really fishy. I don't like her.
Nice enough. It's about they gave the word not to let me speak.
It's called fear of the voice.
Fear that voice, baby. They fear for that Jessica Jackson voice, and I don't blame them. You better believe that. You better believe that. Hate all day. Don't be hating, appreciate it. Huh? My boys put Chicago on the map. Right. You better believe that. You better believe that. I hear you. You're so crazy. Can we leave one of these with you?
Okay, guys. So that's Miss Jessica at City Hall, basically confronting the sergeant at arms and basically the city on her being banned for 60 days. Now, if there's anything else that you want to tell the people that we don't know, because you gave us the backstory already on why as to they gave you those papers and things like that. I believe there was a committee and that jerk off Jason Irving, excuse me. I'm getting them confused. But yeah, Jason Irving was basically, being corrupt at his best. And, he did some, I don't know if he did some adjusting, but he made sure that not only that Miss Jessica got banned for 60 days, but also Danny and another individual as well. So, correct me if I'm wrong. So, like I said, guys, this is just absolutely ridiculous how the people of Chicago, especially the ones that's actually fighting, speaking for the people of Chicago, ones that have the courage to actually do it, like they're doing everything in their power, to stop us from accomplishing our goal, guys. So, if there's anything that I'm missing, Miss Jessica, fill me in.
The primaries are coming, and they really don't want Chicago to get any red in it. They really want everything to stay the way that it is.
Yeah.
And they have no way of getting out this bind that they're in except for doing the things that they're doing. I'm not really tripping off of I don't like it. And I'm going to deal with it because they're violating my rights. Just like Jason Irvin violated my rights that day. And to ban me for 60 days, they're violating my rights. So I'm going to file. This is going to be another exhibit on my
Right.
existing
He's
lawsuit.
treating this like this Facebook or something. Like, dude, this is not Facebook.
And, but the main thing that I want your audience to understand is look at how citizens are being treated. Versus how illegals are being treated. They tell the police that they can't touch those illegals, but they manipulate and misuse the police to bother us.
Right. There you go.
That's extremely important.
And that's what the little police, that's what the little police that we have. If I just want to add.
There you go. There you go. With the little police that we have, with the small amount of police that we have, look at how many police are down at City Hall. That's ridiculous. When you look at the fact that they already got rid of shot spotter.
Shot spotters, yep.
They already did not graduate police academy classes. So we don't have an increase in police, in the police force. He said he was going to hire 200 detectives. He didn't. I think he promoted 2, so he didn't hire any additional ones. So you tell me, what exactly has he done that's getting crime down?
Right.
It's not, they haven't gotten crime down. But if they're saying from 2024, because Martin G. Johnson did a show, and he had like the homicide rates on it, the homicide numbers, I think from like 2019 to 2025. And every year you saw that either they stayed around the same amount or there were small increases.
Okay.
Then you get to 2024, and let's say 2024 had 500 homicides, because he was only doing homicides. And then 2025 had 300. Jeez. So you're wondering, how did that big decrease happen? Because the other years, either they stayed about the same, or either they were like 2-3 numbers in difference. But then in 24, you got 500 homicides. And in 2025, you got 300. You got this massive drop. What happened? When we know spotter is gone. It's not additional police. It's not additional detectives. So what exactly would make the crime go down? The only thing that happened, what do you think?
Well, I necessarily kind of know what it is. And, you know, a part of this is a little bit within the Black community as well, as far as like within the culture. Okay. Crime isn't down. Reports of crime are down. And what I mean by that is when I say I can see a carjacking, right? Or I can see somebody get robbed. Now, it can get reported in as a crime, but a crime can't be a crime if it's not noticed and or reported in. So let's just say I steal a candy bar, right? If I only know about it, did I steal it? You know? So that's kind of what the whole thing is with the whole crime is down thing. The reports of crime are down. That means people can see crime that's going on in the neighborhood and it just wouldn't get reported because, and then they use the music as well on top of this so they can normalize this, especially in neighborhoods like ours. So they'll be like, oh, well, you know, robbery, oh, that happened all the time in the community, or this guy got beat up, or this old lady got this and they got that. Like, they're trying to make degeneracy normal in the Black community. You feel what I'm saying? They do it through music, like even with the little ads and the, you know, the stuff that we see every single day that they just throw in Black people's face, but not in other ethnic groups' face. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm not even really trying to make it a race thing here. I'm just calling it how I see it, you know? So when it comes to that, I just think that reports of crime is down, which means that crime is down, you know. But that's how Brandon Johnson put it. But anyone with sense would know that, you know, crime is just becoming more normalized. So that's all I got to say.
I'm gonna push back on that a little bit.
Uh,
I'm gonna push back on that a little bit because we know in our culture, right, in the hood, right, it's always been what they say: snitches get stitches, right?
right.
So it's never been a lot of telling of crime, right? Telling on people about crime. Now
I mean, that
I
still
do
make it
know.
okay, though. You know, that still don't
Wait,
make it
wait,
okay.
wait. But no, I agree with what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that didn't just start happening in 2024.
No, absolutely not. No,
Absolutely
crime in the
not.
black community has been around for a very long time. I'm not
For a
disputing that.
long time, and this culture of snitches get stitches has been around a long time, not just in 2024, right? Now, from my case, for example, I know, co-telling on what you said, a lot of crimes are not being reported. And when I say reported, I mean, and you hear Loran talking about it, you go
That's
to the
true.
police to report a crime and they won't even take the crime. You know, they won't take a report.
That's true. There's a lot of corruption
That's
in
for
City
sure.
Hall. That's true.
Right, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, now to push that even further, what happened in 2024? I mean, in 2025, that didn't happen in 2024. That didn't happen in all these other years. What
Crime went
happened,
down,
Bashan?
right?
That's
Quote,
right.
unquote,
When they
crime went
saying
down.
crime went down, that big significant number of homicides in 2025. What else happened in 2025 here in Chicago that had never happened in the previous years?
Illegal migrants, right?
But as it pertains to getting that number down,
ICE.
and the National Guard and
Yeah.
all that was here
National
in
Guard, yeah.
2025. Come on, that's what got them numbers down. The same thing. Didn't DC say their numbers was down when ICE and the troops was there? Didn't Memphis say their numbers was down?
Yeah,
When
absolutely.
ICE and the troops was there?
Yeah.
Didn't the Carolinas say the same thing when ICE and the troops was there, that their numbers were down? So then it stands to reason that our numbers too came down when ICE and the National Guard was here.
Yeah.
That's what caused that decrease. But now, the city will never give Trump or the National Guard those props. They will never say that's where it came from. And what they've done for these, 60 days or 90 days, whatever, when the National Guard was here, they saw that crime got contained to a certain extent, just like the other cities did, right? But rather than put a public safety plan in place that could have kept that going, they spent all their time fighting ICE, fighting the National Guard. As soon as the National Guard left, within 48 hours, we had another teen outbreak downtown. That lady got burnt up on the train. Remember, those kids jumped on that lady coming home with her kids from school.
Jesus. Yep. All of that.
All of that within 48 hours of the Trump getting the National Guards out of here. So if you ask me, that's what caused the decrease here. The same thing that caused the decrease in these other places.
Yeah. No. As far as crime actually going down, yeah, of course, yeah, that's the National Guard. But I was referring to, Brandon Johnson and pertaining to him saying that crime is down because of him. Like, nigga, with all due respect, it's not because of you. It's because of Donald Trump sending the National Guard. If anything,
exactly,
it's down.
It had nothing to do with him.
I can agree with that 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Yeah, Absolutely.
But you see what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
these things like that they don't want us to start talking about. You know, we have to start talking more about and use some platforms like what you have and to talk about not so much about how the Democrats are no good, but we got to start highlighting some of the things that Trump is actually doing. Because here in Chicago, we're not hearing it because the media is not going to report everything. And what made me think about that is the other day I was listening to this interview with that what is his name? The Amazing Lucas. He was talking.
Yeah, I know who that is.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here lately now, it seems like he's supporting Kamala Harris because you know Kamala Harris was here this weekend with this Martin Luther King celebration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like he's supporting him, and so Afro Elite had called in because he had a call-in show. So Afro Elite called in, and I'm noticing during this conversation, the Lucas guy starts saying about how it didn't make sense for us to start talking about doing anything other than the Democrats. That, you know, where y'all gonna go? Y'all ain't got nowhere to go. So you got to stay over here and try to get something, keep your foot on their neck because y'all ain't got nowhere to go. You know, and I'm listening to that, and I'm like, that's so wild to, you know, to hear people say that when we know, well, I know it's not true. So one thing that I want to offer up to your audience and to, you know, other audience during these 60 days where I'm going to be banned is that we be mindful of Donald Trump's platinum plan for Black America.
Absolutely.
So,
and the big beautiful bill, guys. I just want to also add that I got a letter in the mail because you know I'm a worker. You know, I actually give back to society and things like that. So I got a letter in the mail, and you know I do a lot of overtime where I work. And due to the big beautiful bill, guys, I'm going to be getting more money on my taxes when I file. Okay, so if you are a working class citizen, Trump cares for you. You see what I'm saying? If you giving back into the economy, if you've been getting robbed from Joe Biden for the past 4 years under his terrible, terrible freaking leadership, so you know you're gonna see some compensation out of that, guys. You know, if basically if you were a worker under Joe Biden, you are entitled to financial compensation, bro. Like, I hate to admit it, but it's the truth. Okay,
and we have to start highlighting the things that Donald Trump is doing, because here in Chicago, by even the media being so Democrat ran,
right,
all type of things, just like I said, the platinum plan for Black Chicago, for Black America. And what makes this so significant is because there has never been another president in my lifetime, and I'm 63 years old. And there has never been a president in my lifetime that had an agenda specifically for Black people, not minorities, not people of color, not disenfranchised communities. No, this is based on that conversation that he had with Ice Cube. When Ice Cube had that contract for Black Chicago, for Black America.
Yeah. And actually, Black women mocked him for that. That was crazy.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm wondering, is that why perhaps Donald Trump has been a little, why it hasn't come back up? So I think that it's very important for us as Black Americans to realize, to stop saying, ain't neither one of them gonna do that. No, just because the Democrats don't do it, it doesn't mean that nobody will do. We have two wings of government. We have the Democrat wing and the Republican wing. Utilize both wings. Now you got help right here, Black people. So stop with the ignorance that Trump was racist and he did. Stop. He's given us something right here. And this guarantees 3 million jobs for Black Americans, not people of color, minority. He says for Black communities. Okay, then on top of that, he put what? $500 billion on this plan. He even says that he's given opportunities for the Black church community leaders to tap into federal resources while they out there in front of Trump Towers diminishing his name. You
Right.
all need to understand those 50 aldermen down there in City Hall, all 50 of them, including the 20 Black ones, and our very Black mayor and our very Black Cook County president, Tony Preckwinkle, they all sat there and voted and passed a rule, a law, a idea, whatever you want to call it, to say that downtown should only get 5% or moderate tax increases, and that the suburbs should only get 10 to 11%, while they tax the south side and west side as high as 133%. I want you now, Bashan. I'm going to hold it up again. I want you to look at your tax bill, people. I want you to look at the front of it. Then I want you to look at the back of it. Then I want you to look at the top of it and look at the bottom of it. And I want you to show me where Donald Trump's name is on. Trump had absolutely nothing to do with these tax increases. Then I want you to get that return envelope that they came in. And I want you to look up here at the return address and see where it's coming from. 118 North Clark Street, room 112, Chicago, Illinois. Maria Pappas, Cook County Treasurer. It doesn't come from Washington, D.C. It didn't come from Pennsylvania Avenue. Come on, Black people. We got to be smarter than this. These people down there at City Hall straight up targeted our communities to make us be in trouble with our real estate like this, while they sat back and let downtown get a 5% increase. They said, check this out, Bashan. Maria Pappas on that Chicago Live interview said that the reason for the tax increases was, she gave two reasons. The first one she said, because I wrote it down, because I want to make sure I got it verbatim. The first one, she said that the reason for the tax increase right here, she said, it's possible for a tax increase to be that large when the city council votes on improvements, and those improvements include something that allows the entire group of residents and commercial buildings to pay more. I want everybody out here to look outside your door. What is a something that improved in your neighborhood?
Right.
Because there's no something over here. Look at all those potholes that are still in your street. Where's the something that you got? Now, number two, the second reason she gave, and this is the real clincher, she said that downtown got the tax breaks because due to COVID and businesses leaving out of Chicago, that those buildings downtown was not able to get their rent from their income from those buildings. And therefore, because they couldn't get theirs, that difference had to be put on the property owners.
Yeah.
Now, but they put it on the property owners on the south side and the west side. They didn't put it on the property owners on the north side.
Right.
And that's a fact. And that's a fact. Now, watch this, Bashan. South Shore has more evictions than any part of Chicago.
Really?
Yes. Yes. South Shore has more evictions than any part of the city of Chicago. So now we know that evictions occur 90% of the time because people what? Don't pay their rent.
Yeah, that's true.
So now, if downtown got a tax break because they didn't get their rent income, then you tell me, shouldn't landlords over here in South Shore, shouldn't we get a tax break? Because we had these tenants in our place and we wasn't getting our rent.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we know from my case, we know that they will intentionally, the city and the county will intentionally keep those tenants in your property, knowing that they're not paying, because the intention is what? To deprive that landlord, that private landlord, of income, hoping that you won't be able to what? Pay your property taxes, won't be able to maintain your property. Then they can take it.
There you go. The city will absolutely take it. Yep.
We've been saying for 3 years that the city and Cook County is stealing Black people's property.
Yep. And they do it through things like health code violations and all these other things of such. And you basically not paying on your rent, like, or property tax, like Miss Jessica said. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they're going up on everything for a reason, guys, to the point where you can't pay it, so the city can take it.
So the city can take it. So the city can take it. And if it wasn't for that federal case that just got about maybe 2 months ago, a federal judge here ruled that the Cook County annual tax sales, he finally ruled them unconstitutional, saying that it was a violation of the Fifth Amendment, because Illinois is the only state where, let's say, for example, you got property that's got $154,000 in equity. And let's say you were behind in $4,000 in taxes and property taxes, right? At those Cook County sales, Cook County would take that $4,000 that you owed out of that $154,000. They would take that $4,000 that you owe for property taxes. But guess what? They would keep that other $150,000 too, and you will walk away with nothing.
Nothing. There you go, guys. That's the math right
Come
there.
on. Illinois is the only state.
And for some reason, I just knew that in the end, the taxpayer citizens was going to be left with $0. I don't know why, but that just, I don't know. It's just, we dealing with Chicago here. So it's absolutely
dealing with Chicago. And I believe that the only reason why that federal judge ruled that way is because, you know, we just replaced Chief Judge Timothy Evans. Remember, Timothy Evans got voted out by the other associate judges in a historical way. That had never happened ever before. And in September, they voted Timothy Evans out. And this new Chief Judge, Charles Beach, came in effective December 1st.
Okay.
So I'm believing that had that change not occurred with the chief judge, that federal judge probably still wouldn't have ruled. And that, because look how long those county tax sales been going on.
Right.
So that federal judge, that federal case is really what put a halt on them being able to do a clean sweep to get our property. They were all ready, but when you couldn't pay these property taxes, they was getting ready to swoop them up.
Right, man.
But because that federal charge, that federal case, just a couple of months ago, I think it was for 1,700 complaints. It was a class action suit. And they just won. It's in, for your audience, if they want to read it, it's in the Injustice Watch article.
Okay.
And it started here with some women that got their I think it was all women who got their properties taken by way of those property tax sales, and walked away with nothing because of that. They are seriously after our property. Illinois is the only state that had that law. Just like Illinois is the only state that doesn't allow us to recall our public officials.
Yep, there you go. And that's basically the breakdown, ladies and gentlemen. That's Miss Jessica Jackson for you guys. We just passed the 1 hour mark, so unfortunately we do have to end the live stream, even though I would love to keep going, guys, because I mean I'm just learning and I know you guys are always used to me talking, and I know you guys probably, oh, why is the Chicago Conservative so quiet? I mean, because I'm quiet because I'm listening, ladies and gentlemen. If you talking, you not listening. You can't have your mouth moving and your ears working at the same time. Okay, so and I learned a lot from Miss Jessica. I'm gonna watch this, I would say, like 2-3 times over, so it could, be instilled in my brain. Okay. But last thing I want to say before we end this live stream is that when it comes to the property taxes and things of such being high in Chicago, I have a few points that I believe is the reason. And we got Prosperity in the chat. Hey, what's going on, Prosperity? So the one thing is being massive pension debt. And, people have things like, police, fire, teachers, city workers, and things like that. They have a lot of, pension that's legally protected and things of such. The city, they can raise revenue to meet required payments and things like that, if that makes sense. And for another point I would want to say is, like, Illinois, they limit other taxes and things of such, like a flat income tax, basically meaning that they can't tax the higher earner, if that makes sense. Basically, the 1%er, they would want to, but they can't do it because of the flat income. And another thing that I would say is basically the declining in the population. You brought this up earlier. These top corporations, these big corporations, they're leaving, and the shrinking tax base is just getting out of control. Fewer people are paying taxes, and it's like it's the same cost when it comes to government costs, like things where you buy out of a store, out of your local food mart and things and such. Cost is the same, and if anything, it's going up. You see, so it's just all over the place. And then when it comes to us saying this type of stuff at City Hall, they're banning us for it now, ladies and gentlemen. Like Miss Jessica got banned for 60 days. Danny, and I think Danny made a video of her getting banned. I think we might have to react to that. But yeah, they're starting to ban us for some strange, odd reason, because we're getting close to something that they don't want us to know and or see or expose, ladies and gentlemen. So bottom line, yeah, and that's coming in 2027, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to say this, please, guys, do not vote. I think I even got the shirt on. Yes, don't vote blue no matter who, guys. Like Miss Jessica said, there are two wings of government here. We can't keep on voting the same. And let's be honest, guys, I don't want us to be, voting too irrationally to where we're just going to vote for anybody other than Brandon Johnson just to replace him. We can't think like that. Yeah, we definitely have to be more competent in how we vote and things of such. And Miss Jessica, I really do appreciate you joining the show. You are amazing. Come back anytime, because I really do love to learn. It's really, it's little to really, it's really scarce me learning from other people that I can interact with on the show, because everybody, usually come to me for like, oh, what do I know about this? Or what should I know about this in Chicago? And it's like, I get tired of talking, basically. I get tired of hearing myself talking. It's really annoying. So is it any last things that you oh, for real, man? Shit gets crazy. But
it's wild. I just appreciate you for having me on your show. And like I said, even through our difficult period, I still would see some of the shows that, your topics, and I hit it and be like, okay, what is this about? And I would learn some things, as well. And that's why when I saw you today, I came, to you to tell you that I have been seeing your stuff regardless of,
you made my melt. Jessica, I'm like, oh man, I can't believe it.
No, but that, because you have to give credit where credit is due, and so I wanted to, tell you that. And then I really want us to talk more about what Trump is doing. We need to start highlighting what he is doing. The 10% credit card. interest rate that he's trying to do. That's something that benefits everybody. Him saying that we can't pay, that he what's going to go to Congress to say that they can't, landlords can't demand you to pay to make 3 times more what your rent is. Right, he's dealing with Congress with that. He made an ordinance to say these investments and corporations can no longer buy single family homes. That's giving the private citizen opportunity. The no tax on tips and overtime. That's everybody, right? It's just unfortunate, what, Bashan, that our local Democrats, prisoner, won't allow Illinois to take advantage of it. But it doesn't change the fact that Trump made the law. So, we just need to have more conversations about what Trump is doing and inform the people of that, so that, we can really push a reason for people to move from the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Start talking about the good that the Republican, but it's like, even, I mean, you do have a point though, because there are some people I do interact with that, even the ones that got that letter in the mail saying that due to the big beautiful bill, you're going to be getting some extra money. But it's like, some of these people would care, some wouldn't, because some are just too brainwashed. You can't save everybody, but you can try to, talk to some people who will compromise and think for themselves and not really too deep down in that rabbit hole when it comes to the stronghold of the Democratic Party. So there is a shot, and I do believe that they know that it's a shot in Chicago, because Democrats, they suck so freaking bad. It's like they're becoming almost intolerable. Like, these people are even saying, look, I might have to vote red next time around. No, ain't no might. Do it. There is no might, dude. Do it.
Do it.
The Democrats, they're becoming a godless party. Some of these people who are majority Democrats, they don't even believe in God. Now, I'm not saying look, I'm not going to, curse you if you're an atheist or anything like that. But let's be honest, guys, our country was built up on the values and love of God, whether that's the 10 Commandments, whether that's the Old Testament, New Testament, guys. Look, call it what you want. This is a majority Christian country, and it's a majority Christian world. So we can't sit up here and say that, oh, the Democrats, they care. Now, they will use church and things like those mega churches and things like that, especially in the Black community. Jesus, they will use those, and they would basically try to say, oh, if you don't do this, they will shame you, and you really not supposed to do that when it comes to churches. Like, oh, you a Trump supporter? Oh, well, this Black church, and you're not supposed to really shame nobody for. You're really not supposed to be political at all when it comes to religion. So I don't even know why they're even talking about that. But even still, if I would have to choose, I would choose the party that isn't for abortion, that is for the nuclear family, that is for respecting people's property, that is for lower taxes, that's for businesses and things of such, things that we was talking about all day, Ms. Jessica. The Democrats honestly aren't for any of that. They just want to put their own beliefs, and they just want to put their own I would say they just basically just want to do things that benefit themselves, guys. I'm not trying to go really deep down a rabbit hole with that either, but it's really bigger than what we all think it is. And we all know it. The people that's watching this channel, we know, Miss Jessica know, and most important, Brandon Johnson and his 50 aldermen and his lackeys know, guys. So that's why they're trying to do everything in their power. They will even go as far as to violate the First Amendment right to make sure that they would accomplish their goal, which we can't allow to happen, guys. So that's all I got to say. Any last words before we end the stream, Miss Jessica?
No, just thanks again for, having this show and informing the people. And if you come up with another topic that, I can assist you, especially since I got 60 days off.
Right. Yeah, well, if some more topics come up, we can definitely get you in there, and we can probably get some, person from another perspective when it comes to, because
Yeah.
guys, I don't lie, I don't know nearly as much about city council meetings, city committees, city committee meetings as Miss Jessica, because she's been doing this for decades at this point. So
No, it's not been decades. The 3 years down there.
3
It
years, 3
feels like
years. Yeah.
decades, so
It
let me
feel
tell
like
you,
it,
it feels like decades.
yeah, but yeah, she's very more experienced at speaking at budget hearings and things like that more than me. So we definitely gonna need an insight from Miss Jessica, guys, on a few videos. So I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. Okay.
I
I've been
feel the
seeing some
same.
comments. Yep, I've been seeing some comments, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't read all of them because I've been focused on the show. So I will see you guys later. If you guys came in late, please go back and watch it from the beginning. I would definitely appreciate that. Once again, thank you, Miss Jessica, for joining the show. I really do appreciate that. And I'm sorry that, Jason Irving has an ego of and the tendencies of a gay man. So, hopefully that gets all settled in things and such. And I honestly hope that you sue the pants off of them.
Oh,
Because
I am. You don't violate my rights and get away with it. That's what we have to do as a people. We have to start filing stuff on them in court. Start filing stuff. If you want to march and all that, you can, I guess. But our parents did that. And they did that without laws. Now we have laws. That's what all that they did was for, so that we could have laws. And now we have them. So now that we have them, we hold them to their law and we fight them in their courts with their laws, because this is our government.
Yep, guys, we vote these people in. We have the power, and we also
got
have
the power.
We got the power to vote them in, and we got the power to hold them accountable. And if we have enough time, we got the power to vote them out, guys. Okay, so let's not do the same okie doke. Let's not fall for the same okie doke. All right. So I'll see you guys next time, Miss Jessica. We'll all see you guys in the future, and everybody take care. God bless.
Good night, everybody.